Our third and final method is called elimination. Now, typically this is people's favorite method, which is why we show it last, so that you have to learn the other two before you decide you have a favorite one. And so the idea is that we're trying to cancel out the x's or y's. So think zero pairs. So if you look here, I have two equations. Now if I look at the x's, I have two x's here and I have two x's here. Now we have the same amount of x's in both of them. If, let's just say one of them was a negative, let's just say that one was a negative, what that would mean is that I would have two positive, two x's, and two negative x's. And so they would cancel out completely, and so then we would eliminate the x's and just have y's left, which would get us back to that one variable that we need to be able to solve. So it's our job to make that possible. It's our job to look at the two equations or the system and decide what do we want to zero pair out. Now this one's pretty simple because for this one both the x's have a 2 in front. All I have to do to make this so they cancel is make one of them so that it's negative. So let's say if I multiply the top equation by -1, I'm going to multiply the entire top equation by -1. So I get negative 2x minus 2y equals -1. On the bottom, I still have the same equation. I'm just going to copy it down just because I like to have a clean slate and have everything written together. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to add these together. I'm going to add the y's together, and I'm going to add the constants together. So then I have negative 2x plus 2x. Those cancel out completely. I'm not even going to write a 0 because I don't need to. 0, unless you need a placeholder somewhere, you don't write 0. Okay. And then, apparently, as I look at this, I see I actually copied this down wrong. I took a -1 times y, and somehow I got a -2y. That should be a -1y, so I'll fix that right now. So then I have a -1y plus 2y. That gives me just 1y. I'm just going to write a y, although you could write a 1. And then add the -1 and 2 together, I get -3. And so you'll see I actually have my answer, part of my answer anyway, that y is equal to -3. And now I want to figure out what x is equal to. And so again, we can do anything. We could take that -3 and we can plug it in for the y here. Or we could take -3 and plug it in for the y here. It doesn't matter which equation you do. You could even do it to one of these equations. But I'm going to go into the top equation just because there's less going on there. So now I have 2x plus y is -3 equals 1. Now I know I have a bubble there, but you'll see that I don't have any numbers here to multiply by, so I can just go ahead and solve. I'm going to add 3 to both sides so that I get rid of that 3. So now I have 2x equals 4, and then I divide by 2 on both sides. So now x equals 2. So I have my solution where x is 2 and y is -3. So elimination is actually a little bit easier than substitution. Let's look at another problem. So here I have another problem. Now you'll see these are not going to be as simple. If I look at the x's, they're not the same number at all. If I look at the y, they're not the same number at all either. Now, I can't turn 4 into 9 and I can't turn 2 into 3, so we also have a problem of just multiplying one equation. So what I'm doing is kind of like finding a common denominator. I'm trying to figure out what number do they both multiply into. Now 4 and 9 both go into 36, so I could change the x's into 36 and then they cancel out. 2 and 3 for the y's, they both go into 6, so I could change them both into 6 and the y's would cancel out. And I think that's what I'm going to do just because 6 is a smaller number than 36. So if we do that, I take the top one and I'm going to multiply that. To turn 2 into 6, I got to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply everything in that equation by 3. And then on the bottom equation, to turn -3y into 6, I have to multiply by 2. Now when I do that, because this top one is already positive and the bottom one's already negative, I don't have to worry about changing the sign on any of them. I can just keep it as is and they'll cancel out. So I multiply through, so I got to take that 3 and multiply it all the way through. So I get -12x plus 6y equals 18. And this last one right here is sometimes the one people forget about. I don't know why the equal sign makes people forget, but you need to make sure you multiply the 3 through on that one. And then on the bottom I multiply those, I get 18x minus 6y equals -12. So the y's cancel out. -12x plus 18x gives me 6x equals, and then 18 minus 12 gives me 6. I divide by 6 on both sides, and x equals 1. So I found my x value, now I need to find my y value, and once again I can pick any of those equations and plug it in. I'm going to plug it in the top one, so I get negative 4 times 1 plus 2y equals 6. 4 times 1 is negative 4, plus 2y equals 6. I'm going to add 4 to both sides, so then I get 2y equals 10, divide by 2, and y equals 5. And I've got my solution. X is 1, y is 5.